reserve list, but then I think he changed it.
Yeah.
Kev's avoiding. Hi everyone, welcome to LFC Transfer Room. Kev TV, he's not joining us tonight, but I have got Neil and I have got Kings. And today we're going to do, because obviously, you know, Hughes out. I've seen that on social media recently. We won't touch on that. Liverpool aren't signing anyone until, you know, tomorrow, where we expect 10 signings to happen. We thought we'd do a bit of a Liverpool Olympics. So let's imagine Liverpool as a football club don't exist anymore, but all these players need to find themselves a new sport so that they can put bread and milk on the table. So have a think about the Liverpool squad. Have a think about who you would want to do what sport in the Olympics. It's a bit of an Olympic theme, and we're going to go through that tonight. So think, you know, Darwin Nunez rugby sevens, or is he more a boxer? You know, these are the types of questions that we want you to answer tonight. But before we go into that, Neil, a lot more news has been coming out about Anthony Gordon and potentially an offer of Joe Gomez in exchange has come out as well. I'm struggling to say why we need another left winger. But there is a lot of, should we say, positive noise around it, and a couple of really well-respected people actually making quite a lot of noise about it as well. What are your thoughts on Gordon?
I like him as a player. I think he's a terrific player. In a poor season for Newcastle, he got more than 10. I think he got 11 goals and 10 assists, or the other way around. It was more than 20 goal involvements. And I think I take the point about left winger, but I think he also plays on the right, because they've got Harvey Barnes, and I think before Harvey Barnes got injured, he was playing left and Gordon was playing right. So it could be that they are looking at Gordon as a long-term solution for when Salah leaves. I like him a lot. He's obviously a Liverpool fan, Scouser. There's a lot of positives about the deal, but you know, the economics of it need to be right for us to make that jump. It's interesting because it's probably not a priority. There's probably gaps in the squad, you know, defensive midfield role, number 6 role, and possibly another defender that's a higher priority. So I would expect news on those to follow fairly soon after. But I can see it happening because, as you say, there's a lot of noise about it, and some fairly decent sources reporting it. And I think the big thing is he appears to want to come and play for Liverpool. It was his boyhood team, so player power.
Like a reverse Carra, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So player power often wins nowadays. So I can see it. I think it will just come down to trying to get a fee agreed on whether players are in exchange as well.
Now, Kings, to give you the stats, Neil was unsurprisingly correct. Gordon, 35 matches in 23-24 season, 11 goals and 10 assists. 11 yellow cards. I do like a bit of a, you know, I think with Robbo getting a bit older, we need a naughty player that gets a few yellow cards for winding up the opposition. So it looks very similar to sort of Salah level stats, not Roma just before he came, but he's scoring and he's assisting, probably more Mane stats at Southampton than Salah at Roma stats. So it seems very, when you think about all the players we've been linked with, all the right wingers, has to be left-footed and stuff like that. This seems to be a more statistical match to what Edwards normally does, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. First of all, when Neil was saying, like, you know, you can see it happening. At first, when it first started, I was like, do we really need him? Is that someone we need? Plus, I was at the point, I didn't even realize he was a boy at red. I was just like, he's a blue nose. What the hell do you want him for? You know, it's like, and then, of course, you dig a bit deeper and it comes out about, okay, he's a boyhood Liverpool fan, etc., etc. And now it looks like he wants to come. And of course, I suppose if most players are given the chance to play for their boyhood side at any point in their career, they'll try and take it. Whether it happens is a different thing. So this is a real possibility for him to fulfill that dream. But, you know, the fee, I suppose, to us as fans is irrelevant. You know, it's if the clubs have agreed to it, and if they're happy with it, they'll do it. On the left-hand side, there's the question mark still about Diaz. Is he staying? Is he going? I quite like the guy, to be fair. He's a very tricky kind of player. But if his heart is set, a bit like Gordon maybe coming to Liverpool, if his heart is set on moving maybe to Spain and that chance comes up, he's going to take it. So, yeah, I agree with Neil. It's going to happen in the next couple of weeks, I would imagine. It's just the clubs have got to come to some agreement where both are happy that they don't feel he's going too cheap or we're paying too much, etc. The difference is with Newcastle now, you could maybe bully them a little bit as one of the bigger boys a few years back. Now they've got the money to just sit there and go, listen, we don't have to sell him anymore because they've now, I think they're just inside their PSR levels by selling a couple of the youth players, etc. So they don't have to sell, I don't think, anyway. And because of that, they can sit there and go, right, well, he's worth X amount. If you're not going to pay it, you're not having him because he's under contract for a couple of years. So it really comes down to now how good is Edwards still with his negotiating, because he's always legendary with getting really good deals. If he can still pull it out of the bag and it's a good deal for the club, then yes, I can see it happening.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. It's one of those really interesting type deals for me. Like you look at statistically players he's comparable to, because I always like to look at that. Pulisic, Nico Williams, Kudus, Martinelli. So he's statistically, like when you look at how he drives with the ball, passes, like the numbers match the attacking midfielders, wingers from that perspective. But it's not one of the, Nico Williams, I want 270 grand a week. It's not one of those.
No.
It's 23, so again, coming into the right period of his career, getting into a stronger position. It seems like there's a lot of logic behind this type of player, and the only thing that I don't get is we got wind of this relatively early in the transfer window, and then it went really quiet, and now it seems to be coming back. Do you think if Gordon comes in, Neil, who goes? Because I don't think everyone stays. Who do you think parts ways? Is it Salah? Is it Diaz? Is it Jota? That's a name that's been thrown around a little bit on this chat before.
I think the only one. I mean, Salah, I think will stay. I think he's indicated himself that he's going to stay. But now, whether that's for one season or longer, we'll find out. But the only one where there's been any kind of speculation that he might go is Diaz. I do agree with Kings. He's a good player. I think he gives us something a bit different to what the other forwards do. But I think if we had to sacrifice anybody, it would probably be him. And what I would say is that Anthony Gordon's output probably outstrips Lucho's. There was another stat about Anthony Gordon. He won the most penalties as well this season. So I can't see us sticking with 6 forwards, if you like. So Gakpo, Diaz, Nunez, Jota, Salah, and Gordon. So I'd be very surprised if Lucho. Well, I wouldn't be surprised if he was the one that made way with someone like a Barcelona being interested, because there seems to be. I think there's conflicting reports as to whether Nico Williams is staying where he is at Athletic Club or he's going to go to Barcelona. The Athletic reported that it's not going to happen, so that may potentially make room. I've also seen that Rafinha seems to want to move as well, so there may be exactly, yeah, and even I think he was linked with the Premier League today. So there's various things happening at Barcelona that could perhaps free up a slot for someone like Lucho. So yeah, probably him. But it's been an unpredictable window. Even with the stories coming out today about Joe Gomez, I don't think anyone really expected that. So there could be something that comes out of the blue that we're unaware of that catches us all by surprise.
I think a lot of the time, Kings, we've got to remember that there's a knock-on factor to some of these. Liverpool don't invest and then try to reclaim their losses because they're not in a negotiating power position. Then a lot of the time, what Liverpool will do is they will sell the player, like there's a knock on Barcelona need to sell to generate money to buy the Liverpool player, and Liverpool will act until the last part of the chain is because they don't want to be stuck with an asset that isn't. The other thing that I like about Gordon, when you think about all the other players that we linked with, English player, we were pretty close to the line on number of English players in the squad. I think obviously with the kids coming through, that's flown up. So I think we've got good representation now. But again, it's just another example of getting good foundation of English players in the squad, building it up, finding the right solution, and then acting at the appropriate time. It's just everyone wants us to act immediately, don't they? They want us to have it done tomorrow. 5 signings, they want on the transfer window. Bosh, done, we're out.
Yeah.
And
I think if everybody had their way, when the transfer window opens, there'll be 5 signings on day one. They'd all integrate in, and by the time we kick off the Premier League season, everybody be like, well, they've been playing for us for 6 weeks, kind of thing. They're bedded in. We know what's going on. It's never that simple, especially at the top end, and especially if you're buying from one of your so-called rivals. They don't really want to sell to you. If you're buying from a team abroad who thinks, well, we're not going to play Liverpool this year, so it doesn't matter, he's not going to come back and haunt us, the player, or if you're buying somebody from the Championship, or maybe even lower down in the Premier League. But Newcastle see themselves now as an up-and-coming big team, or bigger team than they were. To be fair to them, they had a big team in name and stature maybe, but they've never quite been there as that big team, have they? They flirted with it. Now they've got some money. That's what they want to be as a continuation. They want to keep building and make them a full-time big team, I suppose, and break into that top 6 or 7. So they're going to look at it and go, do we really want to sell to Liverpool? From our side, this Joe Gomez is about 27. Now, that's not old. He's coming to his peak, really, but they'll knock a couple of years off the squad age, I suppose, if they can knock it down to 23, 24 with Gordon. And as Neil was saying, I think probably it's going to be Lucho that makes way. Although he's injury prone, I can't see it being Jota, because Jota can really, if he has to, he can play down the middle. He doesn't have to play on the left. He can play down the middle as a striker, and he can score. I mean, we've said it for the last couple of years. If injuries hadn't hit him as bad as they have, he's actually
2 months a season, isn't it, Jota?
Yeah.
Every season he's out for 2 months.
Yeah, and it's such a shame because he's a natural finisher. To be fair to the guy, he's got the eye for goal. Like when you compare him to somebody like Nunez, who can't hit a barn door, even if that's the only thing within 100 miles to hit. That's the only thing he's got to aim at. But and so I can't see it being Jota. Nunez, I think he'll get another 12 months. And then Gakpo again, I think he can say, listen, you can play a moving role around midfield and on any side for him. So that only leaves Diaz, that I think may potentially move on if there's a trigger from other clubs buying their players. And like you said, it's kind of it's almost like a house buying, isn't it? It's a chain.
Yeah.
And they're all waiting for the knock-on effect to say, right, we've exchanged keys, off you go. But I can see the sense in Gordon, to be fair. And like you say, he's another English player. So it keeps that quota just about. I think overall he'd be a good asset. It's just, I don't know, to be honest, I'd never really thought of him coming in until these rumours started. And only today I've read the thing about Joe Gomez. I didn't even know that was a thing. The problem with Joe Gomez is he is very versatile, but is he going to nail down a place in Liverpool's squad in like the defence permanent? It's unlikely. He's always going to be that floating player because you got your Van Dijk and okay, there's Robertson, but I'm sure he's going to get replaced. There's Trent on the other side, but if it's not him, it's Conor Bradley. Do you know what I mean? It's like he's got this kind of thing, I can do a job there. He's a jack of all trades, not a master of any. So it's a case of if we let him go, he's probably not going to be missed that much. And I really like the guy. So I don't want to sound like I don't want him to be there and be part of it. But I don't think we'd miss him that much if we were to maybe part X him in.
I think the thing with Gomez is, and there's probably a couple of clubs, Villa and Newcastle, maybe Spurs, where he'd definitely get, he'd definitely be in the rotation of starters.
Yeah. Yeah.
whereas Liverpool is secondary rotation across multiple positions. I think for him, if he's in this stage now where he's like, I'm peaking my career, I want to play every week, I want to nail down an England spot, I want to do this because blah, blah, blah. I can see why it'd happen. And if those clubs are interested, I kind of get the logic behind it. It's a shame because it's good depth. Like, it's high quality, good depth. But if somebody wants to start every week, you can't hold it against them. You know, at the end of the day, they've got a very short career, and if he wants to play, he wants to play. He's the longest serving member of the Liverpool squad as it currently is, because I think he joined us at 19. So it's not like he's not served his time. And it'd be a real shame. Like, I think at one point it was going to be him and Van Dijk were going to be the main centre-back pairing, but Gomez couldn't nail down his injury, and he took a while to recover. Van Dijk took a while to recover, and it was just last season where they were coming back through. Nunez, am I the only one that doesn't understand Gordon links when we have Diaz and Gakpo? I think this is probably, I agree, but I think this indicates there's probably a sale that's been, should we say, hand shook on. If you can generate this, if you can do this, then you can have. I think that this Liverpool player, and I don't think it'll be Gakpo. I think it'll be Diaz. I think Diaz wants to go somewhere, and there's probably a couple of options, and they've got like a handshake deal. If certain things happen, that Diaz will go, and I think Diaz is aware of it because he's on 50 grand a week. Diaz, he's the lowest paid of the front lot, and he's 27, so he probably wants that big contract. And I don't think Liverpool are going to go, it's 170 grand a week, because I don't think he's a Liverpool type attacker. So yeah, that's my thinking on it. Now we're going to move on to the Liverpool Olympics. So football no longer exists. The stadium you can see behind Neil, that's an athletic stadium, and they do a whole range of activities there. And what we're going to do is we're going to go through, and we want you guys to get involved as well. Think about Liverpool players in the squad. If they were competing in the Olympics in Paris at the moment, apart from complaining about the cardboard beds and the lack of air conditioning, what sport would they be playing in? Now I'm going to start off. We'll start attack to back. So we'll do defenders at the end. I'm going to start with Darwin Nunez. I think Darwin Nunez would play rugby sevens because he's fast. He batters into people, can throw a good punch, which is all critical skills for rugby. Uruguay are a rugby nation, so they do play it. And he's definitely got the pace and power to be a sevens player. So for me, I'd put Nunez in rugby sevens. Neil, what about you? Any strong opinions on Nunez?
I think long jump, because he's very, very quick. And I think a lot of the good long jumpers down the years have been sprinters. So
Carl Lewis type.
Yeah, I'd go long jump. And Daley Thompson, I watched a good documentary on him. He was a good long jumper as well as everything else.
Jamie's gone for boxing, obviously.
Yeah, Kings? Of course. Recent effect. Well, weirdly, I'm going to go slightly different for Nunez. I'm going to say the 5,000 meters. Because the lad can run, but he has no end product. So if he's just got to run and cross the line, then he'll be all right. Won't he? He'll just keep going and keep going, because he seems to just keep going all game. He's got the energy. So I think he can do the 5,000 meters more. What's his name? The more bot and everything. He could break his records, no problem, because he would just keep running forever in a day. He could do the marathon probably as well on the same day. But yeah, he doesn't have to have an end goal. He's literally got to cross the finish line and then be like, I'm done now. I'm okay.
He likes jumping fences.
I like that one.
Wait, cross-country horse race. That'd be Lucas. He had a ranch, didn't he, with a load of horses? He'd be doing that. Nunez into headbutting, defo, get gold. Next player, right? I've thought about this. You see, I've had time to prep. You two haven't. I've thought about this. Jota.
Okay.
Shooting.
Oh, yeah, he's a good shot.
Sharp eye, knows where to put it. But not the sort of one where they've got an eye patch on and stuff like that. Clay pigeon shooting, where it just comes and he's bang. That's for me where Jota would shine.
Okay. I'll counter that one and say
Okay.
that Jota, and although we're doing defense later, with Konate, the pair of them are just going to be the backups. They're the reserves in case one of the mains get injured. They're just going to sit there and watch until they go, oh, you're needed because he's pulled out of the 4x4 or whatever it is, and we need somebody else. So I just think they're going to be backups. That's all they're going to be.
Anything on Jota, or are you set with shooting? I think shooting's a good one.
Yeah, shooting is a good one. There's no kind of esports, is there? Because obviously he's big into his FIFA. So yeah, shooting I think is
He'll
reasonable.
be there soon.
Yeah,
and then he probably will be an Olympian. I'll kick you off again because I've thought about this. Diaz, 10-meter dive.
See, I think for him, because of the way he plays and his intricate dribbling skills, I'd go canoe slalom.
Ooh, I've been watching that. That's good.
Out of the so I'd go for that, I think, for him.
Canoe slalom's a good one. That's a good event, actually.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think I can beat that. That's really good, that one, Neil.
That's a really good one. I think that's better than diving. Now, I was trying to think of a really good one for Salah, and that's where I hit a bit of a wall, because obviously he's ripped now. He's like the diver body, the swimmer body, and stuff like that. Like he's a prime specimen. But it's not that type of thing. And gymnastics isn't something Egypt do particularly well on. I put in the title, obviously, Salah, a gymnast, but it kind of doesn't make any sense.
I think he should do the 100 meters because he's fast.
He's quick.
So he hasn't got to run forever.
Hurdles.
Yeah, he's literally just got to run like he does down the wing, and cut in, but he doesn't have to cut in on a 100-meter thing. He's just literally got to run, and he's going and he's there. So I think, I go for that one. I personally, but short burst of energy, done.
You're not putting him in the pool. Don't want to get that mop wet. Not that he's got that anymore.
I was going to say he hasn't got that. He drip dry in seconds now.
And if you guys have got an event that you think Liverpool should be doing Liverpool players should be doing at the Olympics, put it in the chat. Placing Salah a gymnast. I mean, he's strong. Like the male gymnastics ones, the ones where they're on the rings and I think he could definitely do. He's definitely good enough to do some of those events because we've seen him on the pegs, haven't we? On the climbing wall in training and stuff. The guy's got unbelievable core power. So yes, there is a very strong shout, but he'd be the sole Egyptian gymnast because I don't think there is another one anywhere. Got another one for you because I've thought this through because I've had time to think.
Have you had a busy day today, James?
I actually have as well. That's the worst part. So now I'm going to move to midfielder.
Okay.
McAllister, decathlon, master of all, no specialist area, can do a little bit of everything that the team needs. Not necessarily the biggest and most powerful for decathlon when it comes to things like high jump and stuff, but that was the best that I could come up with for him. Maybe Gakpo would be a good decathlete because he's quite tall and rangy, isn't he?
I was going to say, don't they do the pole vault in the decathlon?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's quite small and nimble, so I reckon he'd be up on that pole. He'd be way, wouldn't he? He's quite light to travel, I reckon. So that part of it would be great.
High jumps in 110-meter hurdles, and actually Gakpo could be a pretty good all-rounder. McAllister might be a bit too giddy for it. Ping pong. Salah ping pong.
Yeah, he's good at that, isn't he? He used to play with.
Loves it, doesn't he?
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen the videos, Kings. Him and Klopp had a match. No one can beat Salah when it comes to table tennis.
Oh, right. Okay. Fair enough.
So I think it might be that one. I'm going to go to defence.
Is ping pong in the Olympics?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
North Korea are doing it at the moment.
All right. Okay. I was going to say, because I only I watch the main bits, but I don't watch every single bit.
What about basketball? What about basketball for Cody? Quite tall.
That's a good one as well.
Athletic.
I thought you were going to say Salah then. I was going to say, I think he's a bit small for that.
Gravenberch should be good for basketball. He's tall.
Yeah, he's another one, yeah.
He'd be a good basketballer. It's pretty huge, Kings. in terms of table tennis.
Well,
Still talking
it might
about
be,
you.
but because I don't have any interest in table tennis. I don't look for it on there, but I do watch other stuff. So I do watch the Olympics, but I'll have a look now, special for ping pong on there.
I don't watch, like, I never watched, and I'll give you one. I've never watched mountain biking a day in my life. But when that was on TV and the British guy was against the other one and they were competing on the course and going around and stuff like that, it was the most enthralling thing I've ever seen in the overtake and stuff.
Yeah.
And we've seen Virgil on a mountain bike a good few times. You know, Liverpool used to do it every pre-season. Maybe Virgil would be a mountain biker. Good engine.
He is quite tall, though, isn't he? So do you think he would
fearless
be up and down that track? I don't know.
It's on a bike.
Yes. Right, Jamie Hughes is right, actually, in the chat there. If darts was a sport, I could sit and watch that, no problem.
Do you know why darts isn't a sport? This is a completely random thing. Because it had a bigger event than the Olympics. So certain events like football is under 23s because it had a bigger event than the Olympics, and they rejected certain things because they had their own World Championship event.
Right.
Darts had one for a period of time, and it was only UK. That's why snooker didn't make it in as well, because it had the Crucible and everything like that. Like, you don't need the Olympics to make people watch the sport. Now snooker probably does need it, and darts doesn't need.
Wow.
But what
I
about
gotta
golf?
be honest, yeah.
Go on, sorry, Kings.
No, I don't get the point in golf. Well, generally, I don't get the point in golf, but in the Olympics, McAllister could be a good golf. McAllister badminton's a suggestion here.
Yeah, quite nimble across the court. No problem. The reason I'm laughing to myself is because I'm thinking of, I genuinely thought, and my wife would probably say the same, I've got a head full of useless information. But James, I don't know where you're plucking this stuff from. I don't think you have had a busy day. You've been sitting reading up, haven't you?
No, I always watch the Olympics. I become an expert in random sports. Like I was watching the BMX final today, and that was insanely brilliant as well.
That was brilliant. Yeah, I watched that as well. Fantastic.
I have no idea how he only got so many points and the other got so many points and the points for. But I was just watching them and I was like, this is ridiculous. Like some of the moves that they pull off.
The 360s.
Who is a fencer? Is there a fencer in the Liverpool squad? That's what Muse is saying.
So that's someone that prods, and it's all about timing, isn't it?
Do you think it might be Robbo then? Just out there, just kind of digging in a little bit.
It could be him. So you could look at it two ways. It's someone like having a dig all the time, someone like Robbo, or someone that's quite elegant and
tactical.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure now.
Maybe Trent. I don't know. Someone that takes their time and then picks their moment.
Virgil van Dijk volleyball.
I'm going.
Ali for table tennis.
No, I've got Ali down for the shot put.
Yeah, he's got to be some sort of throwing thing.
Because he's got.
I've got him down for handball. He must be great at handball, surely. Not that they play it in Brazil, but
I think he's so good at throwing out the ball. He's got to be shot put. I mean, he'd have a world record, I reckon, in one goal.
Discus,
hammer,
yes. Oh wow!
Canate, powerlifting, because that guy's a unit. I reckon he could lift. I reckon he could lift some timber given the right training.
Do you know what? You know what happened though, don't you? He'd get the weight and be like, "This is for the world record." And as he goes down, his hamstrings just go as he's on. He can't get back up. He's just been stuck. His hammies are going on him.
Ali for table tennis. Ali for water polo. That's one sport I know nothing about.
How about triathlon for Endo? Endurance.
Yes. What a shout. Yeah.
3 separate things, rules. Oh, yeah. I watched that as well today. I did watch a lot today, but I do have a separate screen for the TV on while I'm working. I will say that.
Yeah. I'm sure you do. Yeah, James. No problem.
I'll send you a thing. I've just got this massive screen here.
He's got no work. He's just got 4 screens of different Olympic things going on.
Yeah, pretty much.
I sat watching the show jumping the other day, just like because it was on and I knew Britain were going for the gold, so it was just like, oh, go on, I'll have a look. And to be fair, it was like it was all right.
You find yourself getting
I
weirdly
couldn't do
into it. Go, oh no, they knocked a fence down. That's a
Yeah.
loss of 3 seconds, and you're like, well, I have no idea what that means.
Yeah, they were explaining all the rules because they'd done 2 days before. So it was like the equestrian cross country and then something else, the dressage day before. And they were going, because this point, because this. And they got penalised for that. And I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Just get on with jumping. Let's have a look. Who hits what? That's all I wanted to know. Which horse knocked the thing off?
The cross country was good. I did watch that. I don't watch the dressage though, because that's just horses dancing. I don't get that. Right. Conor Bradley. It's a tricky one, isn't it? Northern Ireland. Virgil power walking. It's not a bad one.
Yeah, there is the 20k walk. I think it's tomorrow, actually. Conor Bradley.
Hey, saying that, just going to power walking. If anybody's seen that clip of Joe Matip a couple of years ago when he like stormed over to the ref doing a funny walk, he could do the power walking, no problem.
Yeah, he'd be perfect for that.
I'd pay to watch that as well.
Okay. So Derek suggested
Bradley triple jump. We've gone.
Yeah, I could see that again. Quite tall, quite leggy, quite fast.
Skipping a jump.
Archery, cross bow and arrow, as in because he crosses.
Symbolism, like it.
Yeah, triple jump I can see because he is quite tall, isn't he, and fast.
I'm just going through the. There's no real javeliners or hammer throwers. Maybe Diaz could be a hammer thrower. He loves to spin around a bit. Okay, and then we move on to the vice. We move on to Trent. Passer, a dictator, an orchestrator.
So could he be the pace setter in the 5,000 meters with Nunez? He can go out there and just set the pace and the tempo, and then just let Nunez win at the end because he takes over and drops off on the corner.
Maybe. I was going to put Nunez. Actually, Bradley could be a good 5,000 because he doesn't stop.
Yeah, true.
Nunez could be a great 400 meter runner because he's a sprinter. And 400 is the fastest, the longest distance sprint before you've got to go. It's aerobic, some sort of shit.
It's the second time in the chat now I've seen breakdancing brought up. So again, I'm going to seem very, very like withdrawn here. Is breakdancing in the Olympics? Because that's ridiculous.
I don't think so.
It's ridiculous.
The only dancing I know of in the Olympics is that horse one.
I think it is.
Oh my God.
No.
I think it is.
Right, we need some old 80s school hip hop and breakdancing going on.
I think it is
spinning on their head with a cap on and everything.
Breakdancing, yes, this year. Wow.
Oh my God. I'm gonna have to look out now, aren't I, for that? Any highlights? Breakdancing.
I'll go surfing for Trent because I've seen pictures of him on his surfboard out in the sea over the past few days.
That's a good one. Have you seen the picture of the guy on the surfboard?
Where
he's like this and the surfboard's way back there.
Yeah.
He looks fake. He looked completely fake until you watch the video and you're like, wow. Surfing's a good one. Skateboarding.
Well, that's got to be one of the youngsters like Harvey Elliott or someone.
Harvey Elliott. BMX, I was going to go for Harvey Elliott. I think I could picture that. Which it sounds really boring, BMX, until you watch it. And
it was outstanding.
The British guy is little, but Harvey Elliott's like, but he's built like a unit. I was just throwing that thing around like it was nothing.
Yeah. Many moons ago, I used to have a BMX with the trick nuts on and everything. I've got to say, and I don't want to use too many expletives, but I was absolutely shit at it. I just couldn't grasp it.
You mean you weren't doing a double backflip?
Well, I tried, but quite a few times ended up just literally on my ass on the floor. And then you go to school, and then you'd have them big-headed guys who was just literally the same age as you, but they were massive built, and they just saw it, and you think, I hate you. Do you know that? Popular, see, weren't they?
Yeah.
So
A little
we've
snippet
got,
into my childhood there.
yeah, we've got a few players left. We've got Kwanzaa.
He's a basketball player. He looks like a
Has to be,
basketball
doesn't he?
player.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
good shout.
Athletic, strong, elegant.
Sounds like you're a little bit in love with Kwanzaa there, Neil.
No, he's a, you know, he's an athlete.
Swimming, I don't think swimming. Maybe Soboslai would be a swimmer.
See, he's got good stamina, hasn't he, as well? So if you remember when he was doing what do they call it? The
Lactate test.
Last pre-season, he was miles ahead of everybody else. So something with endurance, could be swimming, could be rowing.
Rowing's a horrific sport.
Yeah.
Need unbound energy for that. Bradley would be, he's not big enough to be a rower. Bradley would be a good winger in sevens. I mean, the way sevens has switched now, where everyone's massive and like 100-kilogram beasts, you just get run over. It's like when Jonah Lomu came in the Underwoods with the wingers for England, and he just steamrolled it over them like they were nothing. Scott saying, "Am I seeing this correct?"
No, I think
75 million. Gomez to Newcastle 45. Both medicals booked.
I think that was what fell through, wasn't it, at the end of June?
I think that was the suggestion before the deadline. But I don't believe it's happening, Scott. Would everyone be happy with this? Is Gomez too expensive at 45? Is Gordon too expensive at 75?
I think they're both inflated numbers. I think that I couldn't quite believe when I saw the Gomez valuation of 45 million, and I didn't know whether that was because all of those deals just before the end of June seemed to be a little bit on the high side when clubs were trying to sort out PSR. So, if they were to negotiate the deal again, it'd be very interesting to see whether they would go for lower numbers. I wouldn't have been in favour of selling Gomez previously, because I think his value in terms of the positions he can cover is very, very difficult to replace, especially with just one player. But he had a good season last season. I think his stock is high. We're probably not going to get a better offer for him than we will this summer. So I thought a 30 million valuation between the two was probably fair, but I thought both of them were inflated.
It's British tax, though, isn't it? If you think about it, like if you were to sign a defender now from like, and I use Calafiori as a more developing, more coming through and stuff like that. But Gomez has played in the Premier League and stuff. You're talking how much was Calafiori? 45?
I think it was less, actually.
I have to check now.
It's exactly that, though, James. It is the UK tax. I mean, you look at somebody like Salah. What was he, about 40 million? Was that what? 35, 40 million they pay from Robbo? So you imagine signing him from Chelsea, right? Even before he went to Roma, they'd have gone, "Oh, we want 60 million for him," because it's just the way it is, selling to rivals, and it's always inflated, and it's just. Then he goes somewhere else, comes back, and he's cheaper, and he's a world superstar. Gordon, 75 million, that's a lot of money. I think there's room for negotiation there to bring that down. And again, with Gomez, do I think he's worth 45 million? If that's correct, it's like, that's really high. He is a utility player, but it's a lot of money, that is. But that is the tax for British players.
But tell me a British player coming into their prime that plays in the national team, granted, doesn't really play in the national team. He's a utility player for them, but plays in the Champions League, plays, in the top division, that would go for less than 45. I'm not saying Anthony Gordon's worth 75, but we have to account for inflation in this market and stuff.
Yeah.
Gomez has had a horrific time with injuries as well, though, isn't he? That would be a potential risk factor for such a high fee. I mean, touch wood, I hope he's over his injuries, because terrible injuries he had, and he's come back really, really well. But it is a risk factor, I think. But yeah, who else? Who else?
At that price?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and this is the genuine. Like, if you think about what did James Ward-Prowse go for? 30 at 29.
Yeah.
Like, if you genuinely think and you do the medical and you do all the testing and you make sure that his knees are right, because I think he's had multiple surgeries and stuff, and Liverpool probably have all the data that they can share with the club. But if it's an England international and you've got someone that you could potentially have for 7 years, I'd struggle to see how they would go for less than 40.
So someone like Ezri Konsa's probably a good person to compare to, because he's played fullback, he plays centre back, he's broken into the England squad. What would we be happy paying for him?
It's just people don't want to pay big money for defenders.
Yeah.
But if Calafiori, who's never played in the Premier League, he's 22, so he's got a long career ahead of him, never played Premier League. What did Timber come for? He was relatively cheap, wasn't he?
I thought he was between 30. I think he was over 30, wasn't he?
I think £38 million.
Mm-hmm. I agree with Tony. 30 is about right.
I think 30 is all right, but I think you have clauses in if he plays so many games. If he plays over 100 games, it's another 10 mil. Or if he plays, 50 games, it's 5 mil. Another 50 games, it's another 5 mil. You put in some brackets, I think, so that they can say we signed him for 30 mil.
Yeah, sign for 30 mil, but with Edwards supposedly such a good negotiator, if he plays 10 games, we get another 30 mil. That'd be great. I think about 30 mil is about right.
Light. I think that's us giving away a player that nobody else would sell for that price.
Yeah, like you said, he could have 6 or 7 good years actually. If he gets a good run of games and his injuries are behind him, then yes, he's a good, versatile, valuable squad player, minimum. So yeah, okay, 30 to 40 then.
Again, I think transfer. Yeah, this is the thing. One of the things I am struggling with is the new PSR stuff that's kicked in and stuff has had a recalibration of transfer fees. So more value is going on younger players than it is like older players and stuff like that, because they're not able to flush it through the same. So I am struggling with some of that. But again, it depends on his wages. Random question.
No.
One for you, Neil. Would he score for Newcastle? I bet you he'd score on his fucking debut, knowing him.
Yeah, he would do, because
probably against Liverpool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if he goes up for corners, then at some point one will drop to him in the box and he'll finish it. He rarely goes up for corners for us. He has done.
He must be gutted. And tell you now, guys, if Alisson could score for Liverpool and he can't, as an outfield player, he must be devastated.
Yeah. He had a lot of efforts this year, didn't he? When he was playing fullback, you were guaranteed that he was going to have a 25-yard effort each game. But yeah, I think he probably will score. Transfermarket.co.uk value him at 28 million euros. So I guess about 25 million pounds. And Ezri Konsa at 35 million euros, who's a year younger.
Yeah, but how much does the transfer market value Lenny Yoro, who sold for £60 million?
Yeah.
There's a supply and demand piece, isn't there? Because British players, British contingent, matching the Premier League rules, there's a tax on that, which obviously transfer market don't value.
Will we
50 million euros.
Euro?
What do you say, sorry, Neil?
50 million euro.
So 59 million pounds sold. Maybe.
Will we ever in for him? Because there was such a outpouring of disgust because he'd gone to Manchester United. I don't even think the club were that serious about him.
I think we were interested. I think we inquired. I think they gave us a number. And I think we said no thanks.
Yeah.
That's everything that I've heard on it, which is he's got a great prospect and a great future. What are you selling him for? But if you were spending 60, like this is just a hypothetical, if you were spending, and this is one for the chat, if you would spend £60 million on a defender to help you guarantee top 4 next season, and just next season, so ignore everything, you know, the future developments and stuff, which I know is hard to do. Who would you rather have, Gay, Euro, or Joe Gomez? And you probably go, well, do you know what? I might go for Gahey and lose Joe Gomez, but Euro's got some developing to do. He's never played in the Premier League. Cavalieri, you could throw him in and go, well, he's never played in Italy. So if I want to achieve something next season, I'd probably still go for Gahey because I know he can deal with the Premier League and get us top 4. So there's an element of this is just another example for me of a player that we could have signed and gone, do you know what? We'll develop you through and we'll bring you through at the right time, which is probably what we'd have done, probably what Real Madrid would have done. But United have gone, we'll buy you, we'll play you, and you'll learn through brimstone and fire. And that might be exactly what this player needs, and he might absolutely emerge through and be everything that you need. But it's a risk. Everything's a risk, I guess. But
well, it's a definite risk because this summer they've still got Harry Maguire there. So if he's learning off him, he's going to be a waste of money, isn't it? If he's in training playing with alongside Harry Maguire and going, this is who you look up to, it's like it's really not worth the money.
But this is the thing: 60 mil for an 18-year-old inexperienced player, no. 60 mil for a Virgil, yes. And that's kind of the question where people go.
Yeah.
I think if we'd have said 60 mil, we've got him for the next 6 years, and we're going to develop him as the next thing. But he's already in, as Derek says, he's already in a boot, isn't he? He's already injured.
I'm just looking. So there was a report today that said PSG didn't push ahead to try and sign him because they were concerned about injuries. Well, that was quite interesting. I don't know if that's people just jumping on the bandwagon. But yeah, there was something that I read today that suggested that was why PSG didn't rival United.
Makes sense.
Just on PSR, I've got a bit of a beef with this at the moment. So you see Chelsea are going to sell Conor Gallagher and they're going to get rid of Trevor Chalobah. Have we not got this wrong in our league, in our domestic league, that we're being forced to sell, or some clubs are being forced to sell, academy products to meet these regulations? Yeah. I mean, is it because it's just mismanagement by the clubs, or could the rules be amended to make sure that scenario shouldn't happen? Because it's bad, I think.
The rules are changing, though, aren't they, in terms of player sales? So player sales will have to be amortized the same way that player acquisitions are amortized. So when you sell, for example, Conor Gallagher, who I think they're going to sell to, I can't remember who it was.
Atletico Madrid, I think.
Atletico Madrid for 35 to 40 million pounds. Obviously, they receive all that money up front. And that's going to now be amortized or whatever it's called, and spread over a duration. But that's why they're all trying to do it before deadlines.
Yeah.
That's why they're selling kids with each other, for big money, Villa and stuff like that. So it's
pure profit for them, isn't it?
That's the thing. It's pure profit, and to be honest, they're taking advantage of that. They'll say, "Oh, we developed them. We can sell them for what we like." But you can definitely tell there's some behind closed doors chatty going, "Well, he's worth this, that, the other, and it hasn't cost us anything as such. We'll take him off you. We'll swap him. We'll do this." And it's all profit, and it's bringing their problems down a little bit. Like we said with Newcastle, they've sold enough that they should be under the PSR, I think. And it's just a backdoor way of getting inside them regulations.
Yeah, but that's what rules and regs are, isn't it? You implement a new idea, people find their loophole to it. They'll try and close that loophole and implement another rule, and then they'll try and find another loophole and another one, and it'll progress and progress and progress.
Yeah.
I think the main thing that I've got is obviously Newcastle and Villa have seemingly done, and Chelsea are all doing slightly dodgy things on PSR perspective, but they're all just demonstrating loopholes that can be closed. I think, was it, I was watching something, Man City's payroll is still high, their things are still high, their sponsors are still, and all that takes time to flush through. So PSR, I think, will have a normalization of transfer fees over the short term, and we'll be seeing some of this stuff, and it hopefully will get better, but it all depends on how strong the Premier League are. Because if they're not strong with these rules, you know, like Man City have been fined £2 million for being late at halftime. What's 2 million to Man City?
It's bizarre,
Seems, is it?
22 offences, did I see?
Mm.
Happened 22 times that they were late, either kicking off a match or coming out from half time. Weird.
Yeah. £2 million.
But why would, is it an intentional thing, or is it? I was trying to think what sort of advantage you could gain from it, but just seems strange.
It's a cool down. Well, it depends if the other team comes out and is on the pitch.
Yeah.
Because if a team's like, they've had their speech, they've done the warm up, and then they're about to sing, and then they're made to wait because Man City are working on a different time scale.
Yeah.
At the elite level, it depends. I think the really interesting data will be how many goals do Man City score within the first 5 minutes of a second half start.
Yeah.
And if it's significant, which I don't think it is, because otherwise it'd be a massive news story, then fair enough. But I think it's just a lack of respect for the process, isn't it?
Agreed. Yeah.
It's mainly down to respect, but each team will have a nutritionist and everything on hand, and they'll say, right, eat these particular things at this time and your engine will burn for this long. And even by a few minutes, well into the second half, if Man City have started 2 minutes later, it might not seem a lot, but then over the end of the game, they might have an advantage on how healthy their players are compared to the opposition, because they've made them wait and their burnout has been slightly different.
Yeah, I think, and that's the thing, for it to be 22 occurrences, there's definitely something there, isn't there? Like that's causing them to do it. It's not just like, oh, it happened once or twice. It's 22 times, which would make you think it's,
intentional.
£2 million. That's not even probably half or a quarter of Man City's Christmas party for the players. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's nothing, is it?
So, Muse has asked for this. Let's do a quick one, because Liverpool play at 11:30 p.m. tonight.
Oh, is it?
Neil?
12:30, I thought.
Yeah, I thought it was 12:30.
Oh, maybe the LFC Go starts at 11:30
yes,
p.m.
That's it. Yeah, it does.
See, teamwork. We can do this together. Neil, who are you looking forward to seeing? What sort of things do you want to see in tonight's sort of game? Is it just you want to see style of play? You're looking for a particular player to see how they dictate the game? Is that what is it that you're looking for from tonight? Is anything in particular?
I think two things. I'll be interested to see if Trey Nioni gets on and is able to influence the game against stronger opposition. So Arsenal will obviously be stronger than Real Betis was, but he was outstanding when he came on in that game. And then I think one of the criticisms last season was that we were very easy to play through still. I think it's a criticism that was even more justified the season before. And Slot seems to be quite focused on not conceding big chances. So I think if I've listened to his interviews correctly, he's spoken about, well, we only conceded one big chance against Betis, which is a good thing. So in terms, it'd be interesting to see the setup and to see whether we can, hold back Arsenal. Who won't be flat out, and they've still got players that they haven't got back as well. So yeah, the tactical setup and how we kind of try and nullify Arsenal as well as Trey Nioni. I think he's very, very talented, and I know he's only 17, but who knows?
Maybe he's your Liverpool youngster to break through. We started the survey, so everyone knows that we do a survey where we make a whole range of predictions, and one of them is always what Liverpool youngster is going to break through to the starting 11. For you, Kings, tonight, what are you hoping to see? Like, a lot of people are talking about the double pivot, Jones' role. They want to see Bradley, see a double pivot. They will hopefully see a striker tonight.
Yeah, that'd be an improvement.
Jota's back,
Um,
so I'm hoping we see a striker at some point.
well, funny enough, I was going to say I'm looking forward to seeing Jota because, as I said earlier, I think he's a good natural finisher, and I hope I don't see him for like 3 minutes and then he's injured because that would be so disappointing. I really hope that he can get some real good minutes under his belt and start pushing on for the season. As Neil said, Naoni, to be honest, I think could be the breakthrough star this year. And why not? We've got enough youngsters coming through that we're not far off from fielding a whole side. And that's great. That's a real big boost moving forward because we talk about bringing in Gordon or a new striker, a new whatever position, and paying millions for. But I really do get a buzz. I know on here we have Matty, who's really up on his knowledge of like the reserves and the kids sessions, and he says who's coming through when they're really good. And it just seems at the moment there's a hell of a production line, and seeing these young lads coming through really gives me a buzz. Thinking, do you know what? They're not going to cost millions. Even if half of them, a third of them, become regular Liverpool players, you've saved yourself millions and millions of
Even
pounds
if
with top
three,
players. Or yeah, like I
three
say, if
become
this,
regular Liverpool players, it's massive.
yeah, if you have a full 11 and 3 of them became top players at Liverpool, then the academy, I feel, is doing its job enough that you can look at them and be proud of it and say, right, them 3 would have cost us X amount each. It saved us this much. Go and play, lads. Go and enjoy it. And so seeing most of the youngsters, to be honest, giving it their all and hoping to catch the eye of a new manager who's hopefully come in and said, listen, everyone's got a clean slate. Looking at his formations, it is interesting to see because we've got so used to Klopp. And as the players said, this heavy metal football. And yeah, most of them were knackered by the end of it, although we all love Klopp. And I mean, I love him to bits. And some of the football at times was so sensational, it literally blew teams away. We're going to have to get used to potentially a bit of a slower build-up maybe. And that's fine, as long as the fans can see there's an end product to it. I don't mind if it's 25 passes between the goalkeeper and Virgil and McAllister. I'm not bothered as long as then McAllister pings it forward and Salah knocks it in the goal. It's like, I don't care. As long as we win, I don't mind what kind of style, if it's fast or slow. But I just feel that we have a lot of potential at the moment within the players coming through, and it'd be just nice to see them. I'm excited. I said on last week's show, I'm going to the Sevilla game on the 12th, 11th. And I'll be, yes, all the big players are back by then. So it'd be nice to see them all, but it'd be nice to get the feel of, by then, he's almost like, well, I'm a week away from the Premier League. So he's going to start putting out more of a definitive, this is how I want to move forward. So it'll be good to go there and just see how it's all shaping up and maybe what to expect the first month of the season to see if it's going to be good, or are we going to be like, no, it's a proper transition, it's going to take time.
I think for me, if because I'll watch it in the morning before I take the dog out, so there's no way I'm staying up. I've been watching way too much Olympics already.
I was going to say, if you could squeeze in the Olympics as well, you'll be all right tomorrow. Watch the Olympics on the phone while you're doing the dog.
Yeah. What I really want to see is I want to see this continuation of this style of play where the wingers are slightly more inverted, the fullbacks are slightly more inverted and dictating play and sort of stepping forward. The wingers are out wide and cutting in. I want to see how Salah progresses within that role. I want to see Doak a little bit more. And I think it's really interesting to see how Elliott and Jones deal with this new system, because of talking about how it's better for possession and I think naturally it suits their game probably a little bit more than Klopp style, which is all action, all encompassing. So I'm really interested to see how probably more of our possession based players in Elliott and Jones and probably even Costas, if I'm completely honest, he's more a passer than he is a defensive fullback. I want to see how they progress with this development, because against Arsenal, you're going to see a lot more of a challenge and a lot more of a press than you would against Real Betis. So is this working in the training sessions? Is this possession-based working? We've only just seen they've just started doing rondos, but they've started talking about possession, location, how to move the ball around and keep it. That's kind of what I want to see. I want to see how we can control a team like Arsenal, who are a high press, high control team with this new style of football. And I don't expect us to have it anywhere near right. I expect us to make thousands of mistakes, and I'm not going to be upset if we do. But I expect us to try and do it and not revert to type. If we revert to type, then I'm worried, because we'll revert to type every time it's a difficult situation. So I expect us to try and continue this style of play regardless, and not revert back to what our base instinct is, which is just sprint at them, press, and then attack as fast as you can.
Yeah.
And if we can do that, then Slot's working in terms of his training and development.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that they're not all coming back until that last friendly. So as we said last week, yes, he's been able to watch the kids, and hopefully some of them have caught the eye and they're going to make an impression. But to get the feel of the whole thing, we know what they can do because we've seen them for years under Klopp. And as a manager, he's seen these players play, but not live in action, not on the training field for him to go, they're good at this, they're bad at that. So unfortunately, he gets them almost last minute. So the first couple of games, we might have to put up with the fact that we've lost because, like you say, the possession quite wasn't there, or mistakes were made because they're not really in the zone yet.
Yeah, well, and that's been it. This has been Liverpool Olympics preview. Talked about Gordon. Thank you very much to Neil and Kings. This is LFC Transfer Room. Make sure that you like and subscribe to the channel. And we go live 7:30 every day. So make sure you tune in tomorrow, and we'll catch you on the next one. Take care.